A Light Within Darkness Chapter 100 Fan Fiction by Azazyel. The Tao's inclusion to my sect was boring. There was no great fight for self-interests, for my techniques and treasures, or anything else. The fucking Tao saw my mountain, and when I asked Matias, my new disciple, as to why the Tao didn't try to press for more control, her words were blunt even if they rang as true as they did. The Kroot eat the remains of friends and foes to mutate themselves to gain far greater strength, intelligence, and the abilities of what they eat. Why would we censor a part of your culture and style of living that will enrich yourselves and the Tao as you help the greater good anyway? Her words were all too true. My sect mountain had slammed home and placed itself upon a rather arid plain with literally no one living in the area besides some nomads that would travel through the plains every few seasons to get to the more fertile fields on the other side of the plain during the rainy and dry seasons of this world. So it's not like I had displaced or stolen anyone's land or actual Tao resources. So in her words, there was literally no reason to actually fight at all, especially if I was so welcoming to others learning our secret arts, and likewise for the Tao. There was no reason for them to attack an ally who merely wanted the autonomy of holding rulership of a single mountain range. Matias, you are walking an interesting path to immortality, I said with a wry expression, as she had taken the technique that was least likely to succeed, and I was very blunt about the technique when I wrote it down and shared it. Matias's face bloomed into a gentle smile as she held her hands together against her overflowing chest and said, ardor in her voice, Master, you said yourself that with enough resources, any and all could become immortal, right? And that the warp was all but filled with infinite resources, correct? At my exasperated nod, she continued happily. Then the joyous union technique that will allow me to link my soul with others to enhance their cultivation speed along with my own, as they rise up through the realms, is the best technique. As squads of any caste are but brothers and sisters in arms and hearts if not in blood. They can rise together in perfect harmony, pushing themselves to immortality together. I face-bombed and I groaned before I snapped out. Matias. That's a sex technique you share with your husband as a side technique that will enhance your main cultivation method. And with zero shame, Matias gently held my arm as she said, Master, a bond between people need not always be sexual in nature. The love of a family, friends, and the deep bond of a brother or sister in battle is no different in comparison to the depths of love and emotion that can be shared with a lover. I gave Matias a glare as I dryly retorted. It's a dual cultivation technique. You are going to become an immortal based on the power of friendship. The blue-skinned beauty nodded with her eyes closed as she took a deep breath before she looked at me with her deep eyes as she said strongly. Power doesn't need to be a hammer, it can be a helping hand to pull others up along with them. And if I am to be your disciple, your introduction to the Tao themselves, then I am going to be the greatest expression of the greater good that will ever be seen. Oh, dear Isha. My first official disciple is a woman using a prostitute's cultivation technique. Where did I go wrong with her? I thought before it hit me. No, it's not my fault. It's the Tao's fault that she wants to help others so damned much. I shook my head with a wry smile and said evenly. Very well, if that is your choice. But practicing that technique won't give you any advantage in battle or really any offensive and defensive means. She chuckled and said happily. Why would I need to fight? I have my brothers and sisters in the fire and air caste who will happily fight in my stead, and likewise, I am also picking up some healing spells so I can help heal and strengthen those who are born to revel in battle itself. I am well aware that I am not a fighter anyway, Master. I threw my hands up as she was just too damned pure, as she rightfully pointed out that I would defend her as my disciple, and her fellow Tao would happily set their lives on the line for the greater good in defending her as all the bonds she will build will be a valuable thing to the Tao as she helps her fellows in their cultivation. After getting over her choice of a cultivation technique, I began asking her more about this world, actually. This world is on the northern frontier of the Tao Empire, so although we are well supplied, we are rather cut off from the rest of the Tao Empire itself, even if there are other Tao planets a couple of weeks away in the next system over. I then asked the next pressing question. So what kind of threats are there to this world? Matias's face was pensive for a moment, and then she answered honestly. Well, there is the ever-present tide of greenskins and tyrannids, which we have dealt with smaller incursions from their encroachment from the eastern rim of the galaxy. But planets within a month's travel distance have been sending messages about Dark Eldar raids. I grimaced at that answer, as the Dark Eldar were an ever-terrible entity that I would need to slay on sight, especially to keep Isha safe, so I nodded and, with my lips twitching, I said to Matias. "All right, you go ahead and begin your cultivation. I will watch and guide you."